Welcome to the Ignite Us OLL podcast, where faith comes alive, stories inspire, and the Holy Spirit sets hearts ablaze. We're coming to you from Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church in Mound, Minnesota, where everything we do is driven by our mission to light the fire of God, one heart at a time. Whether you're at home, on the road, or in between moments of quiet and chaos, we're so glad you're here. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and set aflame with truth and love. This is Ignite Us, and the fire is just getting started, one heart at a time. Okay, so welcome to the show. I'm Aurora Fenzl, hosting, and with me we have Sara.
Hello.
And today, as our guest, we have Mike. Mike, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Mike Schulz. I live here in Mound and have been here since 1974.
1974, that is a long time. I did not exist back then. So maybe, but again, this parish is, it has such a beautiful, rich history. Could you maybe talk to us about what this parish looked like real quick, but back in the day?
Still had the wall back there, but I don't believe it was gold when I first started in 74. I'm not sure when they applied the gold leaf, but otherwise the rest of the church still looks pretty much the same. The exterior, nothing has really changed. I believe that the front out here was lowered, but that's about it. Otherwise, everything is pretty much the same on the inside of the church.
Yeah, since they did that build in the 60s.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the 60s. Yeah, so again, thank you for coming. And this episode, we're going to be talking about, I guess, our faith and conversions within, our journeys within life and with, following Jesus Christ. It's like there's no right way to do it. Well, obviously there is a right way because Jesus tells us, but this is a time and space to get to know you and what your life has looked like. And I mean, you're still coming to this parish, so I definitely think you have some good stories up in that noggin. We were talking before the episode started, Mike, and you'd mentioned that you had moved here as a kid. What was it, 14 years old?
Correct.
Yeah. So, real quick, just when you came into this faith community, what prompted you to come at 14? Was it, your parents, or was it, an individual choice?
Yeah, my parents made me come to church. I did grow up in the Catholic system. I attended St. Hubert's in Chanhassen from first grade through eighth grade, so until age 14. And then I moved out here, and my parents were Lutheran, and through a divorce and remarriage situation. And I had to go to church, so I came here on my own.
Mm-hmm. Did you walk, bike, catch a ride with friends?
I got dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like the church, because the Lutheran Church the time for their service coincided with the service here at the Catholic Church. So it was just easy for them to drop me off.
So, you had this young faith life that you kept showing up for. Very proud of that because I work with youth, and, some days it's like you struggle to see the hope sometimes these days, of young people who, have that conviction to really show up for their faith, but they're out there. So all of you submerge youngsters, I see you showing up every Wednesday and every Sunday.
So was that at that younger age, was that like a conscious choice, or was that just kind of something that you'd already been doing, and so you're like, well, I'll keep going, or was it more casual? How was that?
Are you talking about
Like going to church at like 14, like as a teenager? Was that a super strong choice, or is that just something you were kind of doing?
no, no, but at that age, it's hard to be a fan of going to church because, you've got other things you would rather be doing on nice days, especially, if it's a Sunday and you're not in school anymore. We happen to be living on the lake, so I like to do a lot of fishing and swimming and stuff like that. Yeah, it wasn't my choice to come to church. I was told I had to go to church. So I went, but, I still had, I did have a strong sense of faith having attended the Catholic school for 8 years and being an altar boy, altar server back in the day. All the way through we started as altar servers in 5th grade and went through 8th grade. A little bit different than they do it today, but everybody and all the boys were altar servers. Girls were not allowed back then, and it was a big deal to become an altar server. It was, I think it really tied you more closely to the church because you were much closer to the Mass. You were actually part of the Mass, and participating in it with the different things that you had to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that to be a very similar experience. I actually just wrote a letter last week of recommendation for a friend who, grew up in the Catholic Church and he, altar served all the way through college. And now he's applying to the seminary, and I'm so proud of him and just where his life is going. But yeah, it's that gateway of witnessing your faith in such a physical, act of service to the church that way, and just and getting to observe the Mass, just up close, right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was an altar server for I don't know, as young as I can remember through probably 8th or 9th grade. And I just remember I would prefer that than just being at Mass, because I felt like I was doing something towards the Mass happening. It was just more fulfilling that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I felt the same way.
You grew up here, but I mean, kind of moving towards your, young adulthood. What did that look like for you?
Well, I got married we, in today's day and age, it might be considered a little younger at 22. I met my wife in college and, she happened to be Catholic too, just by coincidence. So that worked out nicely. And her family, uh, they were dual religion. Her mother was Catholic, her father was a Lutheran. But her mother was a pretty strong Catholic. And whenever we went to visit, before we got married, we had to go to church on Sunday. That was a given. We were going to church. And I think, because of that, after we got married, we kind of continued on. We weren't regulars every Sunday, but we did come to church from time to time, rather than staying away altogether.
You came from time to time, did your faith life pick up, maybe when you had kids or, as you got older? How did that look?
Definitely. Yeah, as soon as we started having kids, we were bringing we had a girl first, in 1988, and we came to church with her as an infant, and sat in that crying room until she was old enough, to move out into the pew area. But yeah, if we just felt it was important to start our our kids in church at an early age so that we would instill in them, a sense of faith and the desire to go to church because, having grown up in the Catholic school, you understood the importance of going to church and what it was all about.
Mhm.
So yeah, we wanted to make sure that our kids were going to follow that through, hopefully throughout their life.
Yeah, that's really beautiful and hopeful to hear that, there are parents who take so much time to impress the faith onto their kids. Because I didn't grow up with that, so it's, just so special to hear. So I guess when you were raising your kids, was there a moment or just a season of life where was it when, or I guess I should clarify, is that, in either raising your kids or, just coming to mass more, did you start to form more of a dynamic relationship in your own spiritual relationship with Jesus?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I always had that relationship,
Hmm.
you know. Going to the Catholic, um, going through Catholic school, back then, unlike today, we went to church every
Hmm.
day. So, um, I think because of that, you just, it was, it was ingrained in the back of my mind, that I need to go to church. You have to go to church. Um, it's God, Jesus asks that of us. God asks us to go to church, and yeah, the older you get, the wiser you get, the more guilt you feel by not going to church. So, it just eventually you just realize the importance of going to church, and you start to get more out of the mass too. The, I never used to really care for the homilies much, back in the old days, but now it's the best part of mass.
It sounds like you have a very old and, comfortable friendship with with Jesus. I guess peering into your spiritual life just a little bit more so beyond showing up for mass, beyond what I guess I would have to ask what uh your like Teresa of Avila has what she calls the interior soul, this castle of what your spiritual life looks like. Could you maybe tell us what this relationship with Jesus, what that kind of interior life looks like for you?
Oh boy, that's hard. I think, maybe I'll go a different route. Everybody has different things that bring them to a different level in their faith.
Hmm.
And, my wife and I, with our kids, we were pretty consistent in attending mass, after we had started having kids. But I think it became, usually something happens in someone's life, that brings you closer to God. And for me, I came down with cancer,
Hmm.
and that was 14 years ago.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was told I would live a year and a half,
Hmm.
and I'm still here, and I had a lot of, yeah, my faith, carried me at that time. And, I guess I just had got a lot tighter with, with my faith in the church and more involved actually in church. I feel that in a way that, I was saved for a reason. And, I don't know what it is, but, I just, when opportunities come to me, I take them,
Hmm.
just simple things,
Hmm.
counting money on Monday mornings, to help the church out, uh, greeting on Sunday mornings, I find myself getting a little more involved here at the church. I'm on the parish council. So, I'm not going to say necessarily pay it back, but, I just feel that I owe something to my faith.
Yeah, or not necessarily that it's a transaction, but it's this call to love and this call to, will goodness to another person. So yeah, I definitely find that really beautiful that, after, your diagnosis and, struggling with that, that you really heard the call to, step into, your life with Jesus and just live it out in this beautiful full way, to be with folks. So yeah, I mean, real quickly on my story, I, went through RCIA, now OCIA, they call it these days. But I was 20 when that happened, and, very much the same afterwards. I started, volunteering, with, a lot of the youth programs, and, I too was asked to be on parish council. I was photographing the March for Life in DC, and I got the email, and I looked at it. It's like, is this a scam email? Because it's a priest emailing me. And I did call the parish office from Washington DC, and I'm just like, is this Father Peter's email? Yeah, so I mean, just what are you up to these days, around the parish? It's like now, again, you said that like you greet, you are on parish council. Where can folks, find you?
Well, it's at the entry door, generally, because I do substitute a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever if there's a request for a sub and I'm available, I'll usually take it. I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun, actually. You get to start to recognize some of these parishioners as they come from week to week, and some of them don't come week to week, but, hopefully, if I give them a good experience of coming in and leaving, that, they'll, if they're not a regular, that they'll move towards becoming a regular. It's just, it's fun to have a warm experience with another person. It's very short, and that's all it needs to be, but it makes a difference in someone's day.
Yeah. In marketing and trying to convince someone to do something, it's called the golden mile, because someone makes their impression that will stay with them of a place in the first like 5 minutes. So what happens to a person in the first 5 minutes of coming to a new place, that is their impression. So it's, very, very good to hear that we have some very warm and loving people who are welcoming in folks into the doors of our parish. So
I just wanted to go back to your experience with cancer and your faith journey in relation to that. In terms of, was there a specific moment that kind of ignited your faith more? Was it like after you got diagnosed, just after your journey with it, or was there something during it that really was like, oh, I need to live for the faith part of it?
No, I don't know. That's a hard one. I guess it's just, I every day was another day. I was thankful to have another day. When you don't know what day's going to be your last, you look at life a little differently, I guess. And, I just believe wholeheartedly that I was here because God decided to keep me here. And, so, it's just, I just felt like if he's keeping me here, the least I can do is help him with his work here.
And I think that's really powerful to bring that into your daily life too, of the idea of I get another day. And I think that is something that people in general kind of forget about unless they've had some kind of experience like that where your life is kind of at risk of just, oh, each day is a blessing and I should be glad that I'm here another day. And I think that's really, like a really impactful statement to be able to say, I realize how important each day was and that I need to carry that on throughout the rest of my life.
Well, it's not uncommon for things to happen when things happen to you in life. It's very common for people to draw closer to God, if you have any sense of faith. And even for some people that haven't had faith. It's unfortunate that it takes something like that, and and that was not necessarily the case for me, but it certainly made a difference for me. But now, it makes me look at life a little bit differently. And when I look at the other parishioners or other people out there that haven't had it and weren't faced with the situation I was faced with, I hope it doesn't take something like that to get somebody's attention and bring them back to the church. I hate to, I feel that I probably am a little bit guilty of that myself, although I was involved going to church and everything at that time, but I got more involved afterwards, and I just hope that everybody out there, don't wait for something to happen to you to wake up and realize that, you're here not for yourself. You're here to do God's work, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're here. The church is here. Mm-hmm. Come on in.
Yeah.
To maybe close us out and wrap us up. What do you want to say to, the folks in this parish and, the people listening at home? What do you feel like they should know? Just from your life or, from your relationship with Jesus, what do you feel that, you want them to take home and stay with them?
I guess really just don't take things for granted. Don't forget, we are here because God put us here, and he put us here to serve him and do his will. And too many of us get away from that. I worry about my own children, adult children now. I struggle with their connection, even though they did go to the Catholic school here. They don't have the same connection that I had, and I'm not sure why that is. It's something I struggle with, and I'm hoping that it'll change. It's starting to now that my son they've had their kids. They've had 2 kids now, and I've seen them starting to come to church now. So that's, families tend to bring it out of us. Mm-hmm. And, I hope that it just doesn't take a bad experience in your life to bring you closer to your faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, don't wait.
Mm-hmm. Right. I feel that the parents, need to do a better job of getting their kids to church. You can see it in the pews, when you come on Sunday. There's a lot of open pews out there. They didn't used to be that way. And I just don't think that there's so many parents out there that they've fallen away from the church, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's going right down through their kids too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very much, cause, what did I hear on some blog or something? It was probably like Ascension Presents, but, like the statistic is that if the father does not have a strong faith life, the children will follow. Children will basically follow where their father
Really?
goes. And honestly, it's the structure that God has built, because it's like the man is the spiritual leader of the house. He's the, quote, domestic priest, because God instituted, the domestic church, the family. Like, that is the first church that children learn love and learn prayer and, learn relationships initially before they go out into the wider world. So, basically God, instituted the roles that for a reason. And that's why the church itself, we have, that's why we say it's like father. It's like our leader of the church, the one guy who's going to tell us what we're going to do.
You mentioned you went through OCIA.
Yeah.
I happened to sponsor somebody, Carla. Do you remember Carla Laborde?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she asked me out of the blue here to sponsor some guy who was going through the conversion process. He was probably 30, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he didn't have any sponsors. So I said, sure, I'll do it. We're already into it. So I was late getting into the game. But I still have the binder, that was put together back then. And I go to adoration, once a week, and I bring my binder with me and I read through that thing. It's amazing, the things I myself learned that I didn't learn back when I was in the Catholic schools. There's stuff in there that I wasn't really aware of.
Yeah, well, actually, the really cool thing is that the OCIA classes now, they're kind of open door. Like, if you want to come check it out, like, you're more than welcome to come and visit and learn. And honestly, we've had a record-breaking number of folks coming in for OCIA. So I'm just, so hopeful.
That's amazing.
For how
I heard that like 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just blew me away, because when I was a sponsor, I think we had 4. It's hard to say because they weren't always showing up.
Yeah.
My guy included.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think COVID probably had a lot to do with that too.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking in like just an office meeting the other day, and it's like our numbers are like, I mean,
since
COVID.
COVID.
COVID kind of took a real big hit.
We're all like, we're just trying to get back to baseline of what before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to get back to do when you had like a whole year when you didn't have to go to anything.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard for people to get back out of that.
Nah,
I know it's been.
Nah, me.
What I struggle with, we don't record the masses right now, right? So you can't watch the mass on YouTube if you wanted to, or something like that. I don't know if it's a good thing to be able to have the option to watch it versus not, because if you have the option, is that going to give more people a reason not to come?
Yeah, that's kind of because again, we're with me in my role now, we're starting to, figure out what media we want to invest in. And currently right now, Father and Deacon are recording the audio with their iPhones when they go up for the homily. So we're recording the homily. So, if people want to, listen again and just kind of, reflect on that, they're able to do that. But essentially the Eucharist, you must be in person.
Right.
Because that's kind of the point. It's like Jesus is, again,
absolutely,
he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy. We know you were here, Sarah, earlier today. Jesus was here in the office because of the funeral. They couldn't put the little pics thing back right away. So Katie was just sitting at Colin's desk typing away, a little candle lit. Jesus was there. and I walk in with this flyer and I'm about to start talking to him. And I'm just like, oh, there he is. Hello everyone, I'm Aurora Fenzl, Communications and Technology Systems Manager for Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church. I'm the podcast host and editor. To support us, you can like, follow, share, and subscribe And also visit us at ourladyofthelake.com for our Mass times and ways to support our mission.